As early voting numbers pour in from across the country, a clear picture is beginning to form, hinting that Donald Trump may be on his way to win the U.S. election. With nearly 63 million votes cast nationwide, early voting data is showing intriguing patterns that analysts believe could spell trouble for Kamala Harris and her supporters. Nationally, Republicans account for 40% of early voters, while Democrats slightly edge out with 41%. Gender-wise, 44% of these early voters are men, while 54% are women. These numbers are only the beginning of what the early data reveals when it comes to swing states. Take a look at North Carolina, where early voting has already exceeded 3.6 million votes. Here, Republicans and Democrats are neck and neck, with Republicans making up 34% of early voters and Democrats just slightly behind at 33%. The data also shows an overwhelming preference for in-person voting, with 95% of early voters choosing this method and only 5% opting for mail-in ballots. If early voting patterns in North Carolina favor Trump, the polls suggest even stronger momentum for him. According to Atlas Intel, Trump holds a lead in North Carolina with 50.7% of the vote, putting him ahead of Harris by 4 points, as she trails at 46.7%. Green Party candidate Stein captures a minor share with 0.7%. Trafalgar Group's polling also shows Trump with an advantage, polling at 49.4% compared to Harris's 46.2%, giving him a 3.2-point lead, while 3.3% of voters remain undecided. Fox News reflects a similar trend, with Trump at 49% and Harris trailing narrowly at 47%, while third-party candidates pull in 4% of the vote. Aggregated polling data further underscores Trump's lead in North Carolina. Real Clear Politics shows Trump at 48.7% with a lead of 1.4 points over Harris, who stands at 47.3%. Silver Bulletin's forecast is nearly identical, with Trump at 48.7% to Harris's 47.4%, giving him a 1.3-point lead. 538 places Trump at 48.4%, while Harris lags at 47%, a lead of 1.4 points for Trump. Now turning to Georgia, which has witnessed more than 3.6 million early votes cast, the numbers here are even more favorable for Trump and the Republicans. Republicans have taken a lead in early voting turnout, with 48% of the early votes coming from their side compared to 45% for Democrats. In terms of gender, early voters are 44% men and 56% women. As with North Carolina, the polling data in Georgia further supports the early voting numbers. Atlas Intel's polling shows Trump leading with 48.8%, giving him a 1.6-point edge over Harris, who polls at 47.2%, while Stein takes a small share at 2%. Rasmussen Reports amplifies this trend, putting Trump at 51% and Harris at 46%, marking a 5-point lead for Trump. According to CNN, Trump still holds a slight edge, polling at 48% compared to Harris's 47%, with Stein capturing 1%. Real Clear Politics gives Trump a 2.6-point advantage, polling him at 49.3% compared to Harris's 46.7%. Silver Bulletin mirrors this lead with Trump at 49.1% and Harris at 47.3%, translating to a 1.8-point advantage. 538 rounds out the data with Trump at 48.7% and Harris at 46.9%, a lead of 1.8 points. In Nevada, early voting data reveals a compelling breakdown that could be a deciding factor in this election. Nearly 1 million votes have already been cast in Nevada, with Republicans making up 40% of these early voters and Democrats close behind at 34%. Gender data shows that 45% of early voters are men, with 44% being women, an unusual balance in a state often influenced by Democratic leanings. Despite a slight edge for Harris in some early Nevada polls, the overall polling data shows Trump holding competitive numbers. Emerson College's Nevada poll has Harris leading by a narrow 1-point margin, with Trump at 47% and Harris at 48%. However, Atlas Intel tells a different story, with Trump polling at 48.5% and Harris at 47.6%, putting Trump ahead by 0.9 points. CNN's poll also shows Trump slightly leading at 48%, with Harris just behind at 47%, giving Trump a critical 1-point advantage. Real Clear Politics shows Trump leading by 0.9 points, with Trump at 48.5% to Harris's 47.6%. Silver Bulletin similarly gives Trump a narrow lead, with him at 48.3% and Harris at 47.8%, a 0.5-point advantage. 538 rounds off the picture, showing Trump at 47.7% to Harris's 47.4%, reflecting a 0.3-point lead. Arizona also stands at the center of this election cycle, with over 1.7 million early votes already cast. Here, Republicans account for 42% of early voters, while Democrats trail with 34%, suggesting a strong early turnout for the Trump campaign. Polling data from Arizona reinforces this narrative. According to Rasmussen reports, Trump polls at 48%, with Harris at 46%, giving Trump a 2-point advantage. Third-party candidates hold 3%, and 5% of voters remain undecided. Data Orbital paints an even stronger picture for Trump, with a significant lead of 7.8 points as he polls at 49.7% against Harris's 41.9%. Real Clear Politics shows Trump with a 2.4-point advantage, polling at 49.3% to Harris's 46.9%. Silver Bulletin and 538 both confirm this margin, with Silver Bulletin showing Trump at 49.1% compared to Harris's 46.7%, and 538 placing Trump at 48.9% with Harris at 46.4%, each giving Trump a lead of 2.4 points. The latest Washington Post polling data from swing states presents a close and competitive landscape. Starting with Nevada, Harris currently holds a lead, but it is by less than a single point, leaving the state still very much in play. In Pennsylvania, Harris also leads by a narrow margin, though Trump has gained 0.9 points since last week. Turning to North Carolina, Trump holds a 1-point lead over Harris, a critical foothold in a state where early voting data has already shown strong Republican turnout. Moving to Wisconsin, Harris leads Trump by 2 points. Georgia is another pivotal battleground, where Trump leads by 2 points. Arizona also shows Trump with a 2-point lead, consistent with other polling data suggesting a Republican advantage in the state. In Michigan, Harris leads by 2 points. But what about the national polls? The latest national polling data suggests that Trump is pulling slightly ahead in what has been an incredibly tight race. TIPP Insight's tracking poll places Trump at 49%, a 1-point lead over Harris at 48%. Atlas Intel reflects a similar trend, showing Trump at 49.1%, with a lead of 1.9 points over Harris, who polls at 47.2%, while Stein holds 1%. Rasmussen reports also indicates a lead for Trump, with 48% over Harris's 46%, giving Trump a 2-point advantage, and third-party candidates capturing 3%. Looking at the projected outcomes for the Electoral College now. 538 simulations show Trump winning 53 times out of 100 compared to Harris's 47, underscoring a shift toward Trump in recent days. The Economist's projections have Trump with a 51 out of 100 chance, securing exactly 270 electoral votes, while Harris is projected to win 48 times out of 100, with 268 electoral votes, an extremely close scenario. Notably, Trump's chances have risen by 2 points, while Harris's have declined by the same amount since yesterday. Decision Desk HQ projects Trump with a slight edge, estimating his likelihood of winning at 53% with a projected 275 electoral votes, compared to Harris's 47% with 263 electoral votes. Polymarket currently reflects a strong lead for Trump, giving him a 62.6% chance of winning against Harris's 37.5%. Real Clear Politics has Trump leading with 48.4% to Harris's 48.1%, a narrow 0.3-point advantage. In terms of the Electoral College, Real Clear Politics projects Trump with 287 electoral votes to Harris's 251, marking a potentially decisive lead for Trump. So who's winning just hours from polling day? As the latest data pours in, Trump's path to victory is becoming clearer, with strong polling, early voting advantages, and a solid lead in critical swing states. His focus on the economy, border security, and public safety resonates with millions across the country who are ready for decisive leadership. What do you think?